I would like to welcome you to the Health's Global South Encounters. I am Chaitawat Bunchubun, postdoctoral researcher at the Faculty of Social Sciences, University of Helsinki. I am absolutely delighted to be a chair for today's Encounters session. Before we begin the session, if you are interested in staying connected with us, I would like to draw your attention to our X or the ONAME Twitter account, LinkedIn account, and the Just Ecological, Political Economy Health blog. In the chat box, you can see the links. Because of its oil industry, Balikpapan has been a very important city in the Kalimantan island and in Indonesia. However, with the decline in oil production and the global decrease in oil prices, the city has attempted to diversify its industrial and service activity economy. Dr. Ari Samsura, our speaking today, will kindly give a talk on this transformation attempt of Balikpapan, key factors underlying the transformation, future opportunities, and challenges the city may face will be discussed. Dr. Ari Samsura is an assistant professor at the Department of Geography, Planning and Environment, the Institute for Management Research of the Radboud University, the Netherlands. He is an expert in game theoretical modeling and experimental approach to spatial planning. His research focused on decision-making in the spatial planning processes that involve different stakeholders with conflicting interests, objectives, and positions, both from the public and private sectors. He is also interested in issues related to urban planning, land management, local climate mitigation and adaptation, sustainable development management, and collaborative planning. Most of his works have a global orientation with ongoing research in Indonesia, Vietnam, China, and European countries. For the audience, our practice is that your microphone will be muted unless for the Q&A session. During the talk, we would like you to keep your questions and comment until the end. So after the talk, we will open for you to ask questions and give your comments to the speaker. Then the speaker can respond. Questions and comments can be put in the chat box, or you can ask directly to the speaker. Now it's time for me to invite Ari to take the floor.
Yeah, thank you, Chaitawat, for your kind and generous introduction. So, my name is Ari Samsura, as already introduced by Chaitawat, and I'm going to, shall I share my screen now? Yes, everybody can see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, oh yeah. So my talk today is about a city in Indonesia called Balikpapan. Actually, this talk based on a paper I published together with some other colleagues from Indonesia in, if I'm mistaken, in 2017. So it's quite some time ago we published this paper. The title of the paper itself, just like the title of this talk, it's a Balikpapan Urban Planning and Development in Anticipation of the Post-Oil Industry Era. It was published in journal Cities, if I'm mistaken. But after 2017, of course, there are some developments. So I will talk also about this development, which is not on the paper at that time. Current development in the city of Balikpapan. One of them is, maybe you've heard about Indonesia a little bit. There is a plan to relocate the capital city of Indonesia from Jakarta to Kalimantan, which is quite close to the city of Balikpapan. So I will talk about that later, of course, in more detail in my presentation. So in general, this would be the outline of my presentation today. So before I go to talk more about Balikpapan itself, perhaps it will be better if I talk a little bit about Indonesia in general, as to give a context. Yeah. And since I will touch upon the spatial planning in the city, perhaps it's also good to give a bit explanation about spatial planning systems in Indonesia. And only after that, I will talk about Balikpapan city. I will talk about some details of the city and a brief history of the city. And then we discuss more about the challenge and opportunities in the post-oil industry era, especially for the city of Balikpapan. Yeah. So first about Indonesia. For those who don't know, perhaps, but I suppose you all of you know Indonesia. So it's a Southeast Asia region. So if you all live in Finland, so it's around 10,000 kilometers from Helsinki to the city of Balikpapan in here. This is Indonesia, the red one, and I suppose Finland is in here, Helsinki around here. Of course, this map is not on scale. So we have Indonesia and Helsinki have 5 hours time difference now, if I'm mistaken. So 6 hour difference with where I live now. I live in the Netherlands. So, but of course, without daylight savings, will be yeah, 5 hours and four. I don't know. In Finland, we also have daylight savings, I suppose, right? Yeah. And a bit about Indonesia. So the area, it's 1,900 kilometers square. So it's the 14th largest countries in the world. So I think it's around what, 6 times Finland, if I'm mistaken. Finland is 300,000 kilometers square, if I'm mistaken. So, but and the population of Indonesia, and the latest record is already 275 million. So it's the fourth in the world. So I think it's, yeah, way bigger than in Finland. I think Finland, what now is 5 million, almost 6 million people population in Finland, right? But the GDP is actually quite yeah, it's part of G20 countries, so it's 1.2 trillion. But because of the population, the average income per capita of the country is not that high, especially compared to European countries. It's $4,000 per year. I think this is from two years ago. And geographically, so Indonesia is consists of many islands. So there are 5 big islands in Indonesia. One of them at Kalimantan, or in international people know it better as Borneo. But we in Indonesia and some part of Malaysia, we call it Kalimantan. So Kalimantan, actually the biggest island belong to Indonesia. Actually, the biggest island is Papua in Indonesia, but more than half of Papua, of course, is belong to Papua New Guinea. The biggest part of Kalimantan is part of Indonesia, but in total there are 18,000 islands in Indonesia, and it is a meeting point of 4 tectonic plates. So that makes the countries quite vulnerable of earthquake, volcanoes. And in terms of volcano, there are 150 active volcanoes among the 400 volcanoes in Indonesia. So the city is really the country is really vulnerable of natural disaster, actually. But it's yes, nice country. It's tropical country with maybe some of you know Bali more than the country itself. So, but Bali is only a small part of Indonesia, of course. So administratively, now the latest status, Indonesia is divided into 38 provinces and 520 municipalities. So this is to give you an overview about how the political structure and administrative structure in Indonesia. So in Indonesia, we have three tiers of political government, so to say. So the first tier, of course, the national government, and then below the national government, we have provinces. There's 37 provinces plus one special region, the capital city, Jakarta, the same level as province. And below these provinces, we have municipalities, which divided into two types of municipalities. We call it, I call it urban and rural municipalities. Urban municipalities, we call it a city. Yeah. So there's in total 104 cities in Indonesia, 5 in the capital of Indonesia, and the rest 98 in the all over Indonesia. And the rural municipalities, we call it kabupaten, or sometimes in international literature we call it regency. Below this, there are another administrative structure, but they do not have any political power, so to say. So the head of national government, the head of provinces, and the head of municipalities, they are elected by the people. They're directly elected by the people, and they have the three branches of the government. They have executive, they have legislative, and they also have judicative branches in these three tiers of the government, in national, provinces, and municipalities. And they're all actually elected by the people. And in terms of spatial planning, according to these three tiers governance system, so in Indonesia, they also have three tiers of spatial plan. So at the national level, so Indonesia has what they call as a national spatial plan. And then in provincial level, they also have a provincial spatial plan. And at municipal level, they also have municipal spatial plan. And the spatial plan usually divided into two. One, the general plan, what we call as rencana tata ruang, so the general plan. It gives a directive of how the land will be used or should be used in the 5 years or 10 years. Or even some 20 or 30 years ahead. And in some part of the cities, they also, some part of the area in the national government level, in the provincial level, and also municipal level, they also have detailed spatial plan. Yeah, so this in those three tiers, they have a general spatial plan and also detailed spatial plan with different scale of a map to give the details of the plan. And this, I will come to why this. I explain this because this will come later also in my explanation about the city Balikpapan. And in terms of the content of the plan itself, so in every plan, a spatial plan in Indonesia, it gives spatial structure and spatial patterns. By spatial structure is the hierarchy of activities. They have the hierarchy level 1, level 2, level 3, usually at level 3, that gives the hierarchy of services and also infrastructure in the given area. It can be in the national level, again, provincial level, or in at municipal level. And they also have the spatial pattern, which give the distribution and allocation how the space will be used, or in common terms, we call it land use plan. So they have a general land use plan for national level, municipal level, and in more detail, of course, in municipal level. And then also based on that spatial plan, they have they call spatial utilization, program and budgeting, how to realize that plan, and also spatial control, which in the terms of zoning plan, which will be the basis to give permit for any development in Indonesia. So I don't know in Finland but in the Netherlands we use the terms active land policy. Even though I know for sure Finland also use this practice, active land policy, in which the government can acquire land and develop land and then release the land and develop land according to the plan. But in Indonesia, that's not the case. In Indonesia, it's more passive. So the government only give permit So the one who do the development mainly actually private sectors. So especially for land utilization, except for public infrastructure and public services, yes, they are provided by the public sector. But for the development, area development, mostly done by private sectors. So the government only have a function to give permission, and that permission is given based on the zoning plan made by the government as a part of the spatial plan. Now that's a glance about Indonesia. So now we go in more detail about Balikpapan. Yeah, Balikpapan, as I mentioned before, located in Kalimantan Island, more specifically in the East Kalimantan province. Yeah, I cannot share the picture or where is it exactly. So if you can see, Kalimantan looks like a head from the side, right? So it is in the upper lips of that head, actually. That's usually we call it. And little detail, some details about the city. It has 500 kilometer square area. So I think it's a bit smaller than Helsinki. If I'm mistaken, Helsinki, last time I checked, is 700 kilometers square. But of course, the metro Helsinki much bigger. But the Helsinki area as a city itself, 700 kilometers, around 700. So it's slightly smaller than Helsinki. The population slightly bigger, I think, than the Helsinki, because the population of Balikpapan from the latest data is 727,000 people. And in Helsinki, if I'm mistaken, based on what I wrote last time, is around 600,000 people. But of course, again, the Metro Helsinki has 1.5 million, if I'm mistaken, right? But you can correct me if I'm wrong later on. And the GDRP of the city actually quite high. It is the sixth highest GDP of all cities in Indonesia. So it's 8.3 billion US dollar. The GDRP, so the gross domestic regional product of the city. So it's the highest, the sixth highest GDRP in the whole cities in the country. And but the average income per capita, it's also a bit higher than the national. So the national, if you remember before, is 4,000 US dollar. But in Balikpapan is around 9,600 US dollar per year, the average income per capita. If I mentioned before, geographically, Indonesia is full of volcano. It is in Kalimantan, especially in the Indonesian part, we don't have any volcano. So the soil is a bit stable, but not really fertilized as in any other places in Indonesia, because they are lack of volcano. So they don't have they have the luxury of not having volcanic eruption in the city of in the island, in the Kalimantan part of Indonesia. But their land is not really fertile for agriculture activities. So, but it also have some specific habitat, sun bear, for instance, Irrawaddy dolphins, and green turtle also have their original habitat in the area, in Balikpapan surrounding area. Yeah, this is some details I mentioned. This is what I mentioned, sun bear. So I don't know when Franklin visit Balikpapan before, he had a chance to see sun bear in the area. But in sun bears, literally we call it, of course, like sun bear. But in Indonesia, if you literally translate it to English, it's called honey bear. Actually, we call it beruang madu. That literally means honey bear. Yeah. All right. So a brief history of the city. The name of Balikpapan already known since even before 19th century. It was part of, maybe a little bit history of Indonesia. Indonesia got its independence in 1945 from the Dutch. So we actually free ourselves from the Dutch colonialization. Maybe some of you knows about that already. But before the Dutch era, the Dutch colonization era, there is no Indonesia, of course. Indonesia is divided into or scattered into many different kingdoms or sultanates at that time. And in Kalimantan, the biggest sultanates actually called Kutai Kartanegara Sultanate, or just Kutai Sultanate. So Kalimantan is part of this sultanate. Sorry, Balikpapan is part of the Sultanate. And it is known before, the name of Balikpapan is already known before 19th centuries as a fishing village, or village for fishermen. And mostly people from Bugis tribe. Actually, Bugis tribes comes from the island next to Kalimantan called Sulawesi. So, the south of Sulawesi, many people and people from this parts from South Sulawesi known as a seafarer, and they actually goes all over Indonesia and settled in many places in Indonesia, including Sumatra and also Malay Peninsula at that time. Yeah. And they also settled, some of them settled in this area, in the Bay of Balikpapan Bay, now we know it, at the area. And the name Kalimantan knows since then. And in around, I think in around 19th century, late 19th century, when the Dutch already colonized all part of Indonesia, so the Dutch government got give concessions to a Dutch engineer and a small firm from England, actually, to open oil exploitation in the area, because they found oil reserve in the area. And a Dutch engineer called, if I'm mistaken, his name is Jan Manton. He got a concession from the Dutch government, and the land is rented from the Kutai Sultanate. And they start the drilling of the oil in 10 February 1897. So the dates of this first drilling become the anniversary of Balikpapan now. So the 10th of February of 1897, the first oil drilling in the area. And since then, the area developed quite rapidly. So they opened oil refinery only 30 years later, in 1922, if I'm mistaken. They opened the oil distillery or oil refinery to process the crude oil extracted from the area to make it as solar, gasoline, and so on and so forth. And they also provide the oil company also reside there. So the oil company, the Dutch oil company at the time is called BPM, Batavia Petroleum Maatschappij, literally called the Dutch oil company, which now becomes Shell. If you know the biggest oil company of the Netherlands called Shell, but now it's not Dutch anymore because it's acquired by BP already some times ago. So, but this is actually the origin of Shell. It's BPM, so Batavia Petroleum Maatschappij. So first they had their headquarters in Balikpapan. So they opened the headquarters in 1907. So I've mentioned in here. But in 1938, they moved to Jakarta. This is the headquarters of this company. So this company developed the city pretty much. They provide the city with hospital, and they also provide the city with the one of the first airport in the area. So called Sepinggan Airport at that time, which now becomes a Sultan Muhammad Haji Airport. So they open airport, they open many facilities, they provide the cities with the area with infrastructure. And the city itself, not long after the BPM reside there, got the status of a city from the Dutch colonial government at that time. So even though in the beginning they rent the land, the area from the Sultanate of Kutai, but then they occupied the area, and the Dutch then not only occupied, they dominate the area, they developed the area as their own. the dark history of Balikpapan, of course, happened in the World War II. So in 1942, maybe know a little bit of history. The Japanese came to Indonesia, took over the control from the Dutch. So in 1942, when the Japan came, so the Dutch actually they burned down all the oil activities in the city. So, but not all the cities actually burned down. Mostly only the refinery and all oil activities in the area. So, but then the Japan took control and they rebuilt, they redeveloped again the refinery because they, of course, they need that to support the campaign they had at that time. And then in 1945, the true darkness era or times of Balikpapan happens when the Allied force came back to retook the area, the cities, and the city devastated with it burned down and bombard from the both sides. So the city is really tear apart at that time in 1945. I think the campaign happened in July 1945. And then in August 1945, Indonesia got its independence, but the BPM, Shell at the time, still had a full control of the oil activities in the area at that time. So only in 1965, so 20 years after Indonesian independence, Indonesian government took control, acquired all the assets of BPM, and give it and created the National Petroleum Company or Oil Company of Indonesia, now called Pertamina. So they took all the assets, took all the control of all oil activities in not only in Balikpapan, actually all over Indonesia. They took all assets of BPM from and then do it by themselves. But at that time, Pertamina didn't have enough capacity to run the industry, so they also give concessions. They give give subcontract to other companies all around the world, from Total from French at the time, and also BP from England, to run the oil refinery activities all over Indonesia, including in Balikpapan. But still, Pertamina play a big role especially in Balikpapan since 1965. And since then, still afterwards, Balikpapan grow as an oil city because the main activities in the city is from this oil refinery. I think is already in 1965. The main activities is not oil extraction anymore, but mainly oil refinery in Balikpapan. And we can also see the development of the city from the spatial plan, how the spatial plan of the city actually developed. So in the beginning, the company, the BPM, this Dutch petroleum company, they develop the cities and they also provide the plan how the city should be developed to support all oil activities in the city, of course. As you can see here, so the first oil well of the city in this area, in the in the southwest of the city, right in here, they call it Matilda oil well. This is the first oil well in the city. And the refinery complex just next to it in the north part of this oil well. But this oil well only they use this oil well only for 30 years, if I'm mistaken. And after that, the activities in the city focus on the refineries industry. And they also open the seaport in here to transport the production and also to receive supply of oil from the surrounding area. And the north of that refinery, they develop a housing complex for the workers, but the city center itself lay down in the south of this refinery complex, which which now also stays as the city center of Balikpapan, so in the south of the area. So they develop the area along the coast, not only because it's make it easy in terms of transportation, but also in this area. This area is quite hilly. Yeah, next to it's only not even 1 kilometer from the shore. The area is the contour of the area is quite how to say, quite dynamics. The contour of the area. So even though it's not that high, it's only until the highest elevation of the city, if I'm mistaken, is only 200 meters above sea level, but it's not totally flat like in here in Netherlands. Yeah, so it's hard to develop this area. That's why the concentration of the cities. So apart from it will be easier in terms of transportation, but also because of the contour of the area. So they focus the development in the coastal area of the city. This map first drawn in 1939, but as you can see, it focused on the coastal of the area. But afterwards, the city developed or expanded to the west part of the area. As you can see here, there's a stages, so to say, how the city was developed. Yeah, this is the red one originated from the Dutch era. Yeah, and then expanded after Indonesian independence is the second one. The first expansion of the city, it happens in 1970s, and it is also accompanied with the first spatial plan of the city, which was enacted in 1973, if I'm mistaken. And then 10 years afterwards, the city expanded even more to accommodate new people who comes to the area, and then also accompanied with the new spatial plan, the second spatial plan, if I'm mistaken, enacted in 1983, and then the fourth spatial plan done by Indonesian government in 1993, if I'm mistaken, and then the latest one in 2012. So this is the latest status of the city, which is also accompanied with the spatial plan in 2012. And it looks like this now, the special plan of the city. So as you can see here, the city center still in the historic or city center of Balikpapan, in the south part of the city. Yeah. But now they, as I mentioned earlier, when I explained a little bit about the special plan of system in Indonesia, so they have the special structure where they make the hierarchy of services in the city. The first hierarchy, of course, the city center, and then the second tier they have sub-center, and then they have local center. So there are two sub-centers in the city based on the latest spatial plan. So this to serve activities in the north part of the area, and the other one in the east part of the area. That's called Teritip. So this part, Karangjoang, to serve the north part, while the south part, the main activity is still centered in the old city center of Balikpapan. And apart from that, they also have 5 local center, as also already mentioned in the spatial plan of the city. So this is the details, also glance of Balikpapan. Now we look at the challenge and opportunity of Balikpapan in the post-oil industry era, because as already mentioned before by Chetawat, oil production in Indonesia is going down. In here, as you can see, so the production of oil production in Indonesia is going down since 2000s. Actually, before it's already going down, but the decrease even more since year 2000. So before, Indonesia is part of the OPEC, but I think in the even early 2000, Indonesia is not part of the OPEC anymore, because Indonesia now is not anymore a net exporter oil exporter anymore. So it's already import its crude oil from other countries in the world. And that I do not calculate the correlation actually between the oil production and the GDRP actually, gross domestic regional product. It's not GRDP. So sorry for that. So it's also the trend's also going down. But again, we got this data for our publication in 2017. So in the latest data I have from 2018 until now, actually the GDRP of Balikpapan is getting up a little bit again. So during the COVID, of course, it's everything's going down. But after the COVID, it's going up, slowly going up again, the GDRP. If we see the statistic of the city, mostly the GDRP of the city is not from oil and gas. So, but it comes from the other activities in the cities. It's from manufacturing infrastructure, storage, and transportation. Those are the three main activities that give contribution to the GDRP of the cities, mostly. Yeah. So, but even so, the oil production in Indonesia is going down, but still the refinery is still functioning very well. So they, in terms of activities, it still dominate, even though it doesn't give many contribution to the city's economy directly. Yeah, indirectly, of course, because because of these activities of the people who works there, they need services, they need goods, and because of that, the city actually mushrooming with with commerce and any other industrial activities to support people who works and also activities of oil industry in the city. So in the latest spatial plan of the city, they give the directive. Actually, the city would like to focus on 5 dimensions of the development: many services, industry, commerce, tourism, and education. This is mentioned in their development plan. And there are some development actually to realize, to implement this plan. For instance, their development of new industrial area in the north part of the city called Karyangau industrial area is quite big. It's also accommodated with the new freight port facilities. So they have 3 ports now in Balikpapan. One for passengers in the south part of the city. One, of course, to accommodate the oil activities, and this one to accommodate freight activity, to bring and to deliver goods to the cities. It's part of this industrial Karyangau industrial area. And they also improve the airport, Sultan Haji Muhammad Sulaiman, before called Sesepinggan, which I mentioned before, developed by the company, BPM company, but then it already improved by the Indonesian government. And they also improve the higher education facilities in the cities. So they opened the new higher education institution called Institute Teknologi Kalimantan in the city. So and they also have a plan to develop new marine industrial and commercial areas in Manggar sub-district. It's in the east part of the city, southeast of the city. And they also have plan to improve basic infrastructure and services, so including to upgrade some urban slums area, and also to support some small-scale local industries. So, but mostly, this first 4. The industrial area Karyangau, the development of airport, the development of this higher education, and also this marine industrial commercial areas, all the initiatives mainly comes from the national government. Is not they are not coming from the local government. So the city just received the plan, accommodate the plan made by the national government. So there are some challenges. So this already gives us some ideas about some challenges of the city. So there is actually lack of vertical and horizontal coordination. So I mentioned before, in terms of spatial plan, we have national, provincial, and also municipal spatial plan. In many cases, it's not really in line to one another. Yeah, even though conceptually they have to, but the coordination still lacking when they make the special plan. So there's lack of initiative from municipality itself actually to develop the cities. So, but they have luxury because the city itself plays a strategic role in the national level, right? So because of the oil refinery, so then they just receive the plan from the national government, and they also, even though they mentioned the 5 focus of the development, but in their development strategy, they kind of lack of real strategy how to develop those sectors, especially service, commerce, and tourism in the area. And just like in any places in Indonesia, they mainly focus on economic development to attract more private investor, but there is lack of plan. For instance, how to protect biodiversity, how to improve social cohesion, for instance, because many people in Balikpapan actually migrant from all over the places who works for the oil industry. So there's some, even though it's not really big, but sometimes there's tension between different tribes in the area. The other problem is a lack of funding resource to implement the plan. So when the local government made their plan, special plan, they have lack of funding resource. They receive some funding, of course. Mostly they receive funding from the national government. Even though I mentioned before, in terms of GDP, the Kalimantan is one of the 6 biggest in the city, but still not enough to support all the development goals they make in their development plan. And in terms of land ownership, in many times also gives problems, issues to the cities. So it's not easy for the local government actually to implement their plan because they lack of land ownership. So the land basically in all over Indonesia belongs to private individual, but in Balikpapan, most of the land before it belongs to BPM, and when it's acquired by Pertamina, so most of the lands in Balikpapan actually belongs to this company. So then they do not have enough power to acquire land and to implement their plan in terms of because they have a power to acquire land in the city. And also the other issues and problems we also detect in the city. There's a weak linkage between knowledge creation, even though they try to support or to accommodate and to improve higher education in the area. For instance, by developing this new Institute Teknologi Kalimantan, but the linkage between this knowledge creation through higher education and the city's economic transformation still rather weak. So this can be seen as some of the issues and challenges in the cities. This is not part, as I mentioned earlier, it's not part of my paper. So, but this is a new development. In 2018, national government actually made a new plan called Refinery Development Master Plan to increase the capacity of oil refinery industry in Balikpapan. So before it can produce 260 million barrel per day. So the oil refinery in Balikpapan, but they want to increase it into 360 million barrel per day. Yeah, so they expect this plan finish in 2024, and this new refinery can be operational in 2024. Not only to increase the capacity of the production, but they also would like to increase the quality of their product. So at the moment in Indonesia, if you know a little bit about the oil level, so in Europe, I think at the least we use E5, if I'm mistaken, or E10. Yeah. So in Europe, that's the regulation in here. But oil refinery in Indonesia, all of them, so there are 7 oil refinery in Indonesia, can only produce until E2. Yeah, with this new development, so Balikpapan refinery can produce E5, so they can export it also to many other countries. So and so this is not only to increase the production, but also to increase the quality of their product. So with this new plan, so they expect to, yeah, at the moment the development is still ongoing, and it brings around already almost if I'm mistaken, 7,000 new workers to the city to develop this new refinery in the cities. But after it is finished, we don't know yet. I had a small interview with with people from Pertamina. They said they will. There's no plan actually to expand the workers in the refinery, because they use new technology with the same amount of employee. Yeah, they can produce more oil with the higher quality of oil. So in terms of job creation, so with the development itself, it creates new jobs, of course. But after development, we don't know what happens. Yeah. So the linkage between this RDMP and the city economy is still questionable, actually. But apparently there is a plan to improve the oil refinery activities in the city, so to keep the status, so the Balikpapan still keep the status of oil city because of these activities. The other development, maybe you've heard about this, is the new capital of Indonesia will be relocated to Kalimantan, which only located almost 90 kilometers from the center of this new capital. It's only located around 90 kilometers from Balikpapan city, from the heart of Balikpapan city. And with the development of new highway, it can be reached within 1 hour, or even less later on, within 1 hour. At the moment, the current highway from Balikpapan to Samarinda is the capital city of Kalimantan. So it already makes and this new capital actually between Samarinda and Balikpapan. So it can be reached around 2 hours at the moment. And in the plan made by the national government, Balikpapan is expected to be the buffer zone of this new capital. And there's estimation with this as the buffer zone of Kalimantan. So it will open new job opportunities, of course, for the city, for at least 4 million people. And already in the new special plan of Balikpapan, because they have to renew again their special plan, they have to accommodate this increase of population to the city by allocating 9% new area for residential activities. Around 9% of the new residential land in Balikpapan will be increased due to this new development of new capital of Indonesia. So, I think, I don't know whether we still have time for discussion, but that's all my presentation. So I suppose we can have some discussion afterwards. And I thank you very much for your attention. So I give back the screen to Chaitawan.